At the beginning of February 2022, Zendesk began rolling out a major and long-anticipated change to the Admin Center. Here to talk about this update and its impact on users is Brandon Tidd, Zendesk Architect at 729 Solutions. Thanks for joining me, Brandon.
Happy to be here.
Now, I know you had early access to this update for a couple of months now, but before we dive into the details, let's take a step back and start with what has been changed in the Zendesk Admin Center.
Yeah, so all of the settings have now moved into the Admin Center. So if you are working with triggers and automations, if you're updating views or doing any of those other things that you would normally do in your support agent UI, you are now doing those in the Admin Center. And there's actually a link. If you click on the settings gear icon that you've always clicked on, there's now a link that takes you directly into the Admin Center. But it's also available from that product picker drop down in the upper right-hand corner where you select between support and guide and talk. You can now also select Help Center, or I'm sorry, Admin Center, and that's omnipresent as well. And so when we look at one of the big differences, one of the things that didn't make the jump is customers and staff are no longer sharing the same place. So the people has traditionally been where you would go for all of your users, whether they were end users or whether they were I call it end users with additional credentials, i.e. staff, that have been upgraded into roles and permissions that allow them to access the back end of your platform. Those are now segmented where the customers, the end users, the organizations are all on the support side because you're supporting them. You're not administering your end users, you're supporting your end users. So those guys still hang out in support, but your agents, your teams, your groups, those guys that you are actively administering licensing over, that's going to be in your Admin Center. So we've outlined all of this in the blog post that is going to be linked in the description on this. But one thing I do want to sing praises around is the search function. Because when I first got into the Admin Center, I'm like, oh my gosh, all of this stuff has collapsed and accordion's out, and it's going to be really hard to navigate. And then I found the search button that says Search Admin Center on the left-hand side, and it's amazing because you can type trigger, you can type view, you can type API, and it'll just find it inside of the Admin Center. And so once you learn to navigate between that and the recently viewed tabs, I don't think you'll ever have to expand a menu again, and it's going to be so much more intuitive for the administrators that are in the product every day.
That sounds like a really good usability feature.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And, like I said, change is hard, but, the more time you spend with it, Zendesk with 170,000 customers worldwide doesn't do anything this big unintentionally. So I'm sure there was a lot of feedback and user testing. And there's actually even a link at the top of the page to give feedback in their community portal. If you don't like the changes, you can let them know, and they're always listening.
And why was this change made?
Yeah, so, I'm sure they have their reasons for doing that behind the scenes, but it logically makes sense because if I'm adminning the software, it doesn't necessarily make sense to put all of the settings for all of their products across all of the channels, your help center and your talk and your chat, and cram that all into the support platform, which was traditionally, ticket fields and forms and email messaging. And so I think logically it makes sense to put it in the Admin Center. I think it's just something that was maybe not initially thought of as they rolled out their initial software, but over time it became more apparent that those settings really did belong in the Admin Center all along.
Objectively, I can see that makes sense. From a user perspective, however, let's talk about the impact that it's having on users. Who is this affecting and how is it impacting them?
Yeah, so it's really affecting it almost exclusively anybody who's an admin behind the scenes. Change is hard, and so your muscle memory gets used to doing things a certain way. I know from speaking with our clients that a number of people have been leaning back opposed to leaning into the change. They haven't made the change. They've still used the old Admin Center and doing the thing where they just wait until their hand is forced. And so Zendesk has finally said, we are forcing your hand, and you're going to use the new Admin Center, and they're going to just rip the Band-Aid off.
I was just about to say, it sounds like they're going to rip the Band-Aid off. On that note, I mean, if people are running into snags or challenges, where can they go for help?
Yeah, so there is, as always, a lot of documentation on the changes that is available in the Zendesk Support Center. We've also written a blog post on the 729 website that highlights some of the key changes and differentials. But I think once you get over that shock value of, oh my gosh, where are all my settings? I think if you're a Zendesk administrator, you're really going to like the new interface once you kind of learn to navigate it a little bit.
Brandon Tidd, Zendesk Guru at 729 Solutions. Thanks as always for coming on, Brandon, and for sharing another helpful CX quick tip.